crisis and in accordance with Community Emergency Order number 12 to the Executive Order 2020-04. This board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there is no physical location to observe and listen to this meeting, which was pre-authorized emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Google Meet's platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate during this meeting through Google Meet's platform, and the public has access to listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through the dialing of the phone number at 401-589-5664. And password is 23029263 #, or by clicking on the following website, meet.google.com/DDX-APOJ-XFY. Providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using Google Meets, and the instructions are provided on the town website at rollinsford.nh.us. Providing a mechanism for the public to alert the body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 534-1049 or email at admin@rollinsford.nh.us. Adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and schedule at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by a roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there is anybody in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So, roll call vote. Miles?
Present and alone.
Paul?
Present and alone.
And I'm Denise, and it's present, and I'm alone. Okay, so, and the first line of business is when are we doing, Caroline, when are we doing non-public? 7?
It's listed as 7 just as a placeholder. It's whenever the board gets there.
Okay,
So
very good.
that's later under the police. Yep.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Rollinsford Water Sewer District concerns. One of the things we found out today is that the meeting has been rescheduled to June 24th due to the stay-at-home or the rule saying you can't have so many people to meet. So June 24th, I'm assuming at the Legion as well. So do we want to talk about our concerns, Caroline, now, or have the community give input?
I would suggest why don't we start with a little bit of a recap of the situation and why this is on the agenda and how we got here. If you remember, back in September, the select board had a public hearing because people at that time brought to the select board's attention that there were concerns with the operations of the water sewer district. The commissioners were conducting meetings outside of duly posted public meetings, which violates our 91A. And so just because we have a lot of people on the line, I thought it would be helpful to frame this discussion before we open it up to public input. Nothing really has changed with regard to what the town can do since that public hearing in September. So the options available for the town are to take it over, which can only happen by a vote of the district and the town, and we don't know when an election might happen. The more immediate thing that we can do is to take action about the violations of 91A. We've received quite a number of emails expressing concern over the continued violations of RSA 91A, which is the public right to know law, which requires transparency in government and that public bodies discuss matters and decide them in a public forum, a duly noticed public forum. So as a result of that public hearing, the select board at the time had the town council write a letter to the district's, the commissioner's attorney, alerting them of concerns around right to know violations at that time. It has come to the select board's attention that those violations are continuing, most notably in the recent decision to hire an contracting firm to run the water portion of the water sewer district. The commissioners met in public to sign the contract, but there was no public discussion about how they came to decide to look into contracting firms or evaluate which firms that, you know, may have submitted a proposal, what companies they've spoken to or submitted any kind of proposal, and how they came to decide on the contracting firm that they went with. So that, in addition to a number of other violations leading up to this, the fact that they did not hold a meeting for approximately 10 weeks while the pandemic was initially shutting things down, and yet employees were continuing to get directives and things were happen at the district. It wasn't clear how those decisions were getting made and how the authority was given to individual commissioners to carry out what appeared to be a decision. So at this point, the select board continues to acknowledge that as a separate governmental entity, the select board does not have any authority to interfere with the daily operations of the water sewer district or to tell the commissioners how to run the plant, while at the same time, the town has all of its facilities within the district. And having all of the facilities in the district makes the town a consumer, a ratepayer, and that makes every resident in Rollinsford indirectly a ratepayer, which means that this has broader implications for the town, and it's really not just a problem for the members of the district. It can potentially affect assessed values in town when the reputation of the town's water supply is publicly questioned, as the public doesn't necessarily know which homes are inside or outside of the water sewer district. So now where we stand today is the board has agreed to put this on the agenda after quite a number of emails to the select board outlining these latest complaints of actions that have clearly happened in violation of 91A. So again, the only real viable action the select board could take at this point that would really affect any change is to choose to sue the water sewer district commissioners for violation of 91A. So if the select board wants to discuss how you're feeling about that and whatnot, or I don't know if you want to go directly into public comment, but at least that's how we got to where we're at right now.
So can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
So, I was reading the letter from the commissioners from the commissioners, and it looked like it wasn't even legally done correctly when there's not signed. Like they gave the Ray, who was a supervisor, he was reduced in salary, but not one of the three commissioners actually signed any paperwork saying that. It's just a letter saying that. So is it even legal?
Well, I did point that out, Paul, and that was somehow we were not given the second page of that document. So while I did
I'm sorry.
of mine to the board, it is apparently signed.
Oh, okay. Well, that changes. I didn't see the second page.
No, you
We
didn't.
didn't get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miles, do you have anything? Go ahead.
So my feelings are, we've gotten a lot of emails. I've read through all those emails. I appreciate people taking the time to express their frustration. It's pretty clear at this point that they are violating 91A. There's no other conclusion that I can draw between suddenly having a contract to sign without discussion being had. Frankly, it would be a lot easier to run this board if we didn't have to comply with 91A, but we do. I don't see that we have any other choice at this point. But to file a suit. It's my feeling.
Okay. Paul, do you have a comment about that?
I'm leaning with Miles for the fact that it just seems like there's so many people upset in that district. I read the emails too, and I'm surprised it hasn't come public in the Fosses yet and being a bigger deal in papers, but it will. I'm just not sure suing what are we actually suing for.
Right.
That's a great question, and that's up for discussion. The potential outcomes of suing commissioners include their removal. You could ask for fines to be imposed. Potentially, you could ask for any action taken by the commissioners that happened under transparent circumstances to be revoked. In other words, potentially it could nullify this contract, but I think it's important to decide that some of these things you may be able to decide now, but I would suggest that if the board wants to go forward in some way with this, that we have a conversation with legal counsel to explore what are all of the potential outcomes and how what is the level to which you have to prove something to get some kind of result from that, and what are the reasonable expectations to expect, which might help you understand what would be reasonable to ask for.
Okay. I don't disagree with that.
Okay. I too am in favor of proceeding forward, because if we don't, this isn't going to stop, unfortunately. I also, well, I'll just leave it at that. I believe that we should follow forward. I think we should at least talk to our attorney or an attorney to see what our options are. And then once we know what we can and cannot do, then we will make that final decision. But I think we should at least agree that we should go forward and go to legal.
I agree.
Yep, I agree as well.
Okay, so we should probably vote to proceed to contact, and Caroline, you will get in touch with somebody. Our legal, okay.
Yes.
All right, so I will have someone make a motion that we contact our attorneys to pursue what actions we as a town of Rollinsford can take to stop what's happening at the water sewer treatment plant. Is anybody, you want to make
So
more
moved.
details? Okay.
So moved, and I'll make one amendment and suggestion that we involve the school district,
Oh, that's a good point.
since they are a large consumer as well. So I'll make that motion with the addition of contacting the school district.
To see if they want to join forces with us.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Paul, you okay with that?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so I will call for any other discussion on that? Okay, so I'm gonna call the vote and do a roll call vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. So we are going to get in contact with legal, and see what our options are and when we can have some kind of a meeting with our legal. Okay. Caroline, you'll take care of that?
Yes.
Okay.
So with that, did you, if you know, next on the agenda is public comment. I thought it would be worthwhile to have that conversation so that the public would know where the board stands with this before we open it for public comment. If anybody has a comment, I just want to let everybody know that there is no, there's no opportunity to raise your hand. So you're going to have to just hope that nobody else wants to speak at the same time, but be open to waiting, you know, deferring to somebody to speak first. But please let us know your name and identify yourself, you know, when you speak for the record.
Okay, so we'll start off with comments by visitors. Is there someone who wants to start it?
Hi, this is Lorraine Hanson.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi. I'm in full agreement with your course of action, and I hope that we can proceed as soon as possible. I'm also hoping that when you decide on an attorney, that you'll find someone who is a municipal law expert, because someone you may want them to look at the broader picture to make sure that you are looking at all the possible solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Hi, it's Jill Gellant. I missed out on what transpired previous to this because I had something else that I was committed to. I'm sure that whatever you are doing is the proper thing, and I support you 100%, and thank you for taking up this issue.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else?
This is Andrea Cass, and I do support the board pursuing legal proceedings. And I concur with Lorraine Hanson in that I would urge the board to hire a municipal attorney who is well versed in these matters with water and sewer. And one question I had regarding legal fees and involving the school district. So since the select board is initiating this litigation, will the responsibility for paying legal fees fall on all residents?
Well, it will come out of our legal fund. I don't.
Well, so Andrea, yes, that because the town is funded by all taxpayers,
No.
these legal fees are supported by all taxpayers. And so the board is, you know, if I may, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, any of the board members, but I believe they're aware of that. And as indirect ratepayers, all of the residents, you know, it's justified. The town facilities are owned by all of the residents, and the employees work for all residents, and the school children represent all of the residents. That it would follow that, yes, it's justified to use resident taxpayer funds for those people that are not even in the water sewer district. Though, you know, I might add too that the legal fees would be reimbursed by whichever party wins the case. So, you know, assuming the attorney agrees that this is a winnable suit, it would follow that we could assume that the town's legal expenses would be reimbursed by the district, which means, in essence, the ratepayers of the district are going to bear the full burden if there's a successful outcome.
Okay. I would caution recoupment of legal fees and costs in litigation is very difficult and challenging to have a judge rule in your favor. So involving the school district, do they have their own separate legal budget that they're going to participate?
Well, we haven't spoken to them yet, Andrea, so, I mean, that would be their choice to participate.
Okay.
I believe they have a legal,
I'm sure they have a legal line, but it would
Yeah.
be up to the select board and the school board to work out, if the school board is interested, how we would, how or if we would cost share this.
right.
I mean, my concern, again, I support this going forward, but my concern is that these commissioners are, you know, using legal funds from the water and sewer district without even the knowledge of the ratepayers as to what it's being used for. So, you know, it seems like they have endless legal funds or fees to pay for legal support. And, you know, are we going to cap this or are we just, I mean, this could wind up being a sizable legal bill.
Well, I think we have to talk to our attorney to find out, at least to find out if this is something that we should go forward with based on what information he or she finds out. I mean, until we ask those questions to the legal team, we're not really sure how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
Andrea, I share your concern. I want to, I want to get an estimate.
mhm.
I don't want the town on the hook for hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, that is definitely a question for me.
Mhm.
All right. I appreciate that. Then that was my only question. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrea. Okay, anybody else have a comment or? Going once?
Hi, this is Sue Nastasi,
All right,
and
Sue.
I'm very supportive of your decision to move forward. And also, with the municipal type of specialty. And of course, there's a lot of steps on the way to actually putting this in motion. But I wanted to say my support, and it is involve all residents. It does. And I really, truly wish that even though not physically in the water district, it does concern all Rollinsford residents. But thank you for moving forward.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to speak?
This is Angela Matthews, 437 Locust Street. And just wanted to share that I am a member of the district, but I am also a taxpayer in the town of Rollinsford, as are all the people who live in this district. So I don't see as much separation in our government and the way it supports us. I am a taxpayer, and I value and appreciate the leadership that you're showing tonight in taking this step forward and reining in some of the practices that are unacceptable and possibly unlawful. So thank you, Select Board, for the actions that you're taking tonight.
Thank you,
Jill
Angela.
Gallant, 432 Spruce Street, as a taxpayer and a member of the Water Sewer District. I will gladly do double duty to make sure that this stuff stops and we put these guys to rest forever. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? One more call. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, I think we're all set to go forward with our agenda. All right. So consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of May and May 9th, May 18th and May 19th. Is that the budget? Was 2 days apart? So was that our meeting and then?
Rec. And then the rec meeting.
Got it. That's right. Okay. Has everybody read them?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, consensus is that we'll accept them?
Yep.
Yes.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Okay,
And I will second that.
okay. All those in favor, oh, roll call, Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes. Okay, approved and accepted. Okay. So our next is Police Department, and we do have to go into non-public based on RSA 91:32A personnel. How do we take care of this, Caroline?
So we need a roll call vote to go into non-public, and this virtual meeting will continue with anyone who wants to stay present and wait for the board to return. The board is going to leave this meeting and enter in another meeting that's not publicly accessible, and they will, when the time comes, vote to come out of non-public and rejoin this meeting. So again, you're all welcome to stay and, participate and listen to the rest of the meeting that will follow after, but the board is going to briefly go into another meeting.
And where is that meeting? Where is that?
There's a link in your email, and if the board needs me to resend it, then I will find it and resend it.
Sent at 12:09 today.
All right, hold on.
Hmm.
12:09. Got it. Okay. So, so we need a motion to go into non-public.
Yeah, but I'm not
Oh, we already
sure.
have it, right? We just need to do a roll call, right?
Yes, there is a motion, so you just need a roll call to exit.
Okay, Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes. Okay, so we are exiting out of this meeting and then we're going into the other meeting. Are we all back?
Aha, we're just waiting for you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, technical, not so great. All right, so you're back in. Okay, so we're back to the police department. Do you have anything else, Bob, that you need to discuss with us?
I do. As you know, on Saturday, we had an extensive search. Unfortunately, we had tragic results in the ending. However, I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly, on the record, thank the members of the Rollinsford Police Department, the Fire Department, Southburg Police and Fire, Berwick Fire, New Hampshire State Police, New Hampshire Fish and Game, New Hampshire Marine Patrol, Summer Fire, Durham Fire, and the Seacoast Chiefs Mutual District of their command vehicle. Everyone flew over here at a moment's notice to drop everything and help us with the search. It was very much appreciated that we had so much support, as well as a number of residents in town dropped off cases of water and soda and whatnot. It was truly appreciated. Okay.
Anything else for the chief?
I have 3 purchase orders.
Okay.
First purchase order is number 1913, made out to Praetorian Digital. It's for our annual subscription, online training. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. It's for the sum of $1,104, and that will come out of our pro development line item.
Okay. I'll move purchase order 1913 to, sorry, where's the name? Praetorian Digital?
Praetorian, yeah.
For a total of 1,100 and, is that a $4?
$4.
Yeah.
Yes.
$4 for annual subscription to online training.
Paul, do you want to second
I'll
that?
second that. Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. I will sign the purchase order. All right, go ahead, Bob.
Okay, next purchase order, number 1914 to Axon. We're looking to replace 4 batteries for 4 tasers. They're around the 26% mark. Normally, when they get to 20%, the taser requires us to change them out. So this will come out of our equipment line item for a total of $318.
All right,
I'll move purchase order 1914 to Axon of $318 for taser batteries.
I'll second it.
all right. Any discussion?
Bob, is this like a once a year type thing or?
No,
more?
we find the batteries last 2 to 3 years.
Oh, great. Okay, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Paul?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Denise, yes. I will sign the purchase order. All right.
Okay, purchase order number 1915 to AAA Supply. We're looking to replace 15 OC canisters. All of our current canisters that we all carry now expire this July. Looking to get 4 cases of practice ammunition, 1 case of duty ammunition, 3 rifle practice ammunition, and 1 case of rifle duty ammunition, for a total of $2,234.25, and that will come out of our ammo line item.
Okay.
All right, I'll move purchase order 1915 to AAA Police Supply for $2,234.25 for ammo.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just a quick question, Bob. Is this like about a quarter year's ammo, half year's ammo, monthly ammo?
No, this will take care of us probably until November. We'll get a couple of cases towards the end of the year for applications.
All right, so you're looking at about 4 or 5 months?
Yes. Oh, no, no longer than that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any?
Wonder-
Okay, so hearing no more questions. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise, yes. I will sign the purchase order.
That's all that I have for the board. Anything for me?
I just thought, Bob, I'm sorry, I know you tried to get a hold of me Saturday. I'll make sure everybody has my number going forward.
Very good. Appreciate that.
And thanks for your efforts on Saturday. I know it was a tragic loss.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Please express my thanks as well.
Will do.
And mine as well. Okay, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, my God. I'm bigger.
We'll let you go first.
All right. So, fire. Oh, there you
Hello,
are. Hello.
we're here. Both Sean and I are here. We'll start with the, if it's okay with everybody, the heating end of the thing that we closed with last couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Because that's the first one up. Let's go with that one.
Well, all right.
Either way,
What are we
we can
doing?
go back down and then.
Well, yeah, it
and
wasn't the
just-
first one up. Yeah, so let's get there. Yeah, there we go.
That's it.
So per the conversation that we had last week, I reached out to P. Gagnon for a refresh of the quotes. Unfortunately, they did go up a slight amount, between 5 and 10%, because we're now in the 2021 heating season. So the supplier, because of COVID-19 and everything, had a slight price increase. But it's still in that range that I gave the select board last week. So the two items, the first one is the Wiesmann wall hung boiler. That will do all of the living areas of the fire station. It is a gas-fired wall hung boiler. The price of $22,898.48 also includes and removal of all of the old plumbing, piping, furnace, all of that. The line item 2 is the actual Resnor ceiling mount propane heaters for $8,596.72. That brings the total. I can't see the total, unfortunately. Caroline, there we go.
520.
Yeah, 31,435.20. So that would take care of the fire department heating system. Per your request, we did go down to town hall. The town hall boiler is 630,000 BTU unit. The one currently in the fire department is 300,000 BTUs. So not even half the size. The other challenge is that both the fire department and the town hall boilers actually come in pieces. They're called pinned boilers. And what that means is they come in multiple smaller pieces and they put them together on site. Unfortunately, not even looking at the BTU size, but the ability to move the furnace because of the size of it isn't even feasible, because you can't take them apart and guarantee that they'll go back together again. So unfortunately, the boiler in the fire department will need to stay as one unit and will not fit in the town hall. The other thing that was noted while we were at the town hall that is something that we probably want to look into is the expansion tank that is off that furnace is currently shut off. So what that means is that if expansion needs to happen in the system because the water heats up and expands, there's no place for that water to go today. The only option is for the emergency pressure relief valve to let off, which is not a good thing. The other thing that we noticed, this was last Wednesday, and it was 80 or 85 degrees out, and the furnace fired 3 times while we were there. So it looks like something may need to be looked into of why the furnace would be firing. I don't know if one of the zones isn't programmed right or whatnot.
Did we miss anything that he just said? Because he was saying anything for a little while.
I missed about 15 seconds of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just said that you didn't understand why it was firing up, and then you stopped. I don't know what happened.
So the furnace in the town hall, even on an 85-degree day, is firing off and running. We were there for 20 minutes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
We were there 30 minutes looking at it per your request, and it fired 3 times in that time.
Does the furnace supply the AC?
No.
How does the AC work?
Condensers.
Okay.
Furnaces make heat, and the condensers, some of which are inside and some of which are outside, could do the cooling.
All right. So we should probably have that looked at, but. All
I'm
right.
just passing the news.
So it might be worth reminding the select board that it's now the beginning of June, and if you wanted to replace the town boiler, given what you just heard, that you have the authority to do that only until the end of this calendar year. So just a thought to put out there.
I wonder if you buy 2 furnaces, they'll give you a better price. Don't smile. I'm serious.
Well, so I think so what I would suggest is make the decision about the fire department, and one would hope that because you went with them for the fire department situation, that they would, reflect upon that when they offer pricing for the town hall.
Mm.
But, by all means, if you want to put this off 2 weeks and get a price to do both and see if they'll give you some kind of combined pricing, we can certainly explore that with them.
When does this quote expire? Does it have a
30 days.
from May 31st?
So or 2 weeks into.
We shouldn't risk more price increase with the fire department, so we should go ahead and go forward, but we certainly, when we're going to do the town hall, that we should remind them of that we're spending $31,000 with them right now. My opinion only, but
I did ask him to put together a quote for you for that furnace because there was, I guess, a large hole in it that got fixed, a blowout on the side of that furnace. So he was working on doing that.
the one with the town hall?
Yes.
Okay. So what are our options for the furnace that is at the fire station currently? I mean, can we put that out for quote or bid, anything to try to at least recoup some money towards it? I mean, we can't use it for our facilities, but can we do like no responsibility of anything, you know?
Yeah, I would look at it as any other surplus equipment, and
Yeah.
you know, if we keep it all together and remove it whole, which may require George's help to bring the forklift up here, or the forklift or the forks on the one of the equipment down there, backhoe or whatever, we could sell it. You know, my suggestion would be don't have them take it apart, because once you do that, the likelihood of it getting back together is very low. But anybody that had a garage, they could come in, put it on a trailer, back it into the garage, and it would be a great heating system for them.
Yeah.
There's definitely value to it.
Okay. But the good thing is you don't have to take it out to put this stuff in because it's not going in the same spot right now. So
Well,
yes?
they
Freezing again.
No.
You're-
Is that any better?
Yeah, start over. We lost you there for a
Lost
minute.
again.
Okay, sorry. So they'll be able to take the whole thing out as one whole unit.
Yeah,
We
but
can take it out at the
Not
side.
urgent to do it immediately. You could get this done now without affecting that, right?
No, because they have to repipe everything.
Well, you're disconnecting it from the fuel, but it doesn't have to be immediately moved, right?
It has to be moved so that the pipes are out of the way and that the pipes get run to the new wall hung boiler and all of that.
So what would you do with it then? On a
So it
temporary
could
basis?
either, we would either find a place in the fire station for it, or if George had a spot down at the transfer station, we could put it down there, either one of those two places.
Okay.
And our thought was if you do that, and you wanted to go out for bids, at least there's somebody at the transfer station all the time during the day, but we just don't have that same ability up here at the fire station. So if somebody
Yeah.
wants to come and bid on it, they could look at it, there it is. One of those guys could go back and be available where it might be difficult for us.
Yeah.
That was our thought.
Okay. Any other questions, Paul or Miles?
No.
I guess I just am curious. So for the unit that's going to heat the living areas, that I assume that's also providing hot water, the wall hung boiler.
It is not.
Oh, okay. So how are you getting hot water?
We have an electric hot water heater currently.
Oh, okay. $23,000. That just seems really expensive for how many square feet?
It's a 200,000 BTU unit, so it's larger than.
But like, I
would
just,
be.
I mean, I know that they're the professionals and they're the ones recommending this equipment. It just seems like a lot of money. Is that similar equipment to what DF Richard was gonna
Yes.
offer?
And
Okay.
within $100 of price between the two.
Okay. Well, why don't we get this purchase order moved? I'll move purchase order 1838 to P. Gagnon in the amount of $31,435.20 for heating equipment at the fire station.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right. Okay, so discussion?
I do think you're right, Denise, that we should probably move on this to avoid any other surprise price increases and get in the queue here to get this taken care of, because the problem's not going away.
Right, okay. Paul, how about you?
Well, I do agree with Miles. It does seem like an awful high price for a boiler, but I mean, it's an industrial boiler. I guess.
So the two ceiling ones, is that going in the New Bay area? Right?
Old.
Yes.
Okay, so the two
Oh,
ceiling
sorry, no,
ones.
It heats the old side.
the old side. So it's going above the car and above the tank truck and heats
Okay,
that
so
side.
how is the New Bay gonna be heated?
There's already an existing reservoir on the new bay.
That is still working okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's only 2 years. It's 2 years old. We had that replaced. So that one's got a lot of life left in it.
Okay, okay. So this should settle our heating problems for many, many years. Okay,
That's the goal, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other discussions, Paul or Miles?
No.
Nope.
Are you guys ready to vote?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do a roll call vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes, I'll sign the purchase order.
Enthusiastic bunch.
Okay, anything else for, oh yeah, you had some other stuff, didn't you?
Yes.
All right, what are we gonna do next? Fire tech and safety?
That's fine. Let's take care of that one. That's just for a replacement gas detector, one of the ones which we have, and we carry them on each engine and also on the utility. One of the ones we had is old technology. We cannot get new parts for it or new sensors, so it's basically rendered pretty much useless. So this is to purchase a replacement for that unit. And again, it's for gas, so we use these an awful lot with CO calls and whatnot. So in order to keep the amounts that we need on our frontline pieces, that's what this is for. $472 to replace it. It would come out of our equipment line item, which still has an awful lot of funding in it.
Okay,
I'll move purchase order 1835 to Fire Tech and Safety of New England for $742.03 for gas alert and detector.
I'll second it.
all right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes. I'm signing the purchase order.
The next one we have up there now is 1836. It's to Moriarty Electric Company. With all the things we've been dealing with the heating issues and whatnot, one thing that's kind of fallen by the wayside in the last couple of years was our outside generator. And since this building is also, if we needed to set up a place to shelter people, that's what this building is also used for, with that generator. We wanted to set up an annual service program with them, so we contacted Moriarty Electric. They're the ones that some of the premier people that take care of that kind of machine. They came in and gave it a full inspection. They found that it needed a replacement battery. They changed the head gasket to prevent future problems, and they changed some filters on board. And that's where the total came from. And we also set up a service package for them. So the generator has been completely serviced. And we also went through this after this was hooked up and replumbed with all the other changes we're going through with the changing in propane vendors. So we wanted to make sure this was 100% up and running. They said the generator itself has 210 hours, which is a very low number, just a little bit higher than a break-in period. So there's an awful lot of life left in that generator. And this was getting it to 100% service.
Okay,
Okay. I'll move purchase order 1836 to Moriarty, Electric Company, $601.10 for service inspection for the station generator.
And I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a roll call. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. Signing the PO.
And that's the contract and whatnot, those other pages. The next one here, 1837. This is something that we discussed 2 weeks ago. With some of the CARE Act money and whatnot, we were looking at trying to get ourselves a better, more defined COVID protection package with this equipment. This isn't something, we all agree that this COVID's not going away anytime soon, could last well into next year. We have an awful lot of the stuff that's been given to us and procured through Chief Ducharme and some of our other areas for our immediate needs. What we were going to do with this PO is we wanted to purchase 20 masks. These masks would be individually assigned to each one of our more dependable firefighters that are here on a regular basis. They come with their own case. They come with 5 replacement filters. So depending on how often we need to use these, they will last an awful long time. And we're also so the normal price for these units is like $79, $80 because of the bulk rate and the amount we want to get. They're giving us a break to $59 a piece on these. So we requested last week to go to do it. We made contact with these folks. This is the PO, $1,180. We'll take it out of our first aid supply line item. And like I said, we'll use these. Each individual firefighter will have his own, so it even increases the protection of not having to share or reuse masks or anything like that. So, and these will be used for an awful long time in the future if this thing keeps going on and we get a resurgence in the fall or whatever happens. But we'll have better control over our personnel.
All right.
Okay.
I'll move purchase order 1837 to Envo Mask for $1,180 for 20 N95 masks.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion?
Mark.
Oh, go ahead. So we think
No,
this,
you're not good, Mouse.
we think this will be reimbursable through CARES.
It should be reimbursable. Yeah, it definitely should be from all the discussions we heard, Caroline, on what we needed to do. This is 100% COVID related equipment.
Okay, great.
That's what I was gonna ask, so.
Okay.
Okay, so my question is, how many times can they wear the N95?
How many times?
Yep,
Well, they can, this mask here can be used over and over and over again. You just have to change the filters. So the
And how
mask
long-
is taken apart, change the filter, disinfect the mask, replace it with a new filter, and it goes right back into service.
so it's not one of those,
It's not a paper or a filter kind of
Oh.
mask. It has a solid rubber type plastic structure that the
Okay.
filters fit into. So
do you know how long,
durable than some of the other things that were used at this point. What's that,
do you know
Denise?
how long the filters last?
So the filters are designed to be all day. So for our use, where we're going to be using it for a short duration, we should get multiple calls, multiple weeks out of those filters. They're really designed to be worn for an 8-hour shift.
Okay. So, can you buy extra filters once you run out?
Yes, we can. They come in packages of 100, so we can go back and keep us some stock on supply if we need to.
Okay, so, each mask is gonna get the 5 extra filters, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Who don't show up as often the others can use those filters? Yes? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any other questions?
I just want to add a comment. In terms of being COVID reimbursable, this would this would be submitted as a FEMA reimbursable expense rather than a CARES Act fund expense. I just want to clarify the difference because anything that counts for PPE, we're directed to submit for FEMA funding. And so I didn't want you to think that that's going to put into CARES Act fund money.
Gotcha,
But
thank you.
But the difference of it can be if it isn't all covered under FEMA, then the difference can go to CARES, correct?
If, where FEMA, my understanding is, I think FEMA has just now turned into 100% reimbursable. That's
okay.
I'm not sure if that's true yet, but I know that it may be. I would have to look. But prior to this, yes, our previous submission for reimbursement was only 75% reimbursable. So that extra 25% that we submitted for expenses we could put in for that with CARES Act fund money.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Not here.
Call the vote. Paul?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Denise? Yes. I'm signing the PO. All right.
Is that it? I think that's.
Oh, is that it?
One more. No, one more.
That's the
Yeah,
CARES.
cab, that's right.
So cab services, as we talked about, this is not something we have to do right away. I'll leave it up to the board if they want to do it now or if they want to wait till the fall to do it. There's the two prices. One is for the actual oil tank removal, and the second is for the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services certified closure statement. That includes soil testing and basically protects the town, from future liability should somebody come back and try to sue the town saying that, the actual furnace caused or the oil tank underground caused an issue.
Right.
It's $1,675 for the tank pump down, excavation, oil disposal, tank removal, backfilling the hole, and that's a not to exceed price.
What is the price again, please?
$1,675.
Okay.
And then the actual NHDES UST closure oversight is $700.75.
Okay.
And that includes
Oscar.
certified closure.
Okay. And where's that coming out of?
We would have to discuss that because it's not a budgeted expense. You could call it professional services. If you want to take it out of professional services, you could take it out of contingency. Or, what I would suggest is that you put it in the building maintenance fund because it is related to property there. And, we can reallocate budget dollars to cover it.
Okay. Miles and Paul, do you have any comments on that?
I think we could wait, or we could just move forward with it and get it in the queue. I mean, obviously this work can't be done until we have, well, I assume you're not running heat at the fire station, so.
No.
I could go either way.
All right, did we move it? Did we move the purchase order? We did
We
not. right?
didn't.
All right, let's move it and
Okay. I'll move purchase order 1839 to cab services. So I think the total is $2,375.75.
that's what I got. Yep.
Okay, good. For oil tank removal and certification.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Now we can have discussion on it.
I mean,
Pump-
this
Go ahead.
needs to be done, right? I mean, we're not gonna just let the oil tank sit there for someone else to stumble on in another 40 years.
Yeah. The oil that's in the tank, do you have it pumped out and then get recourse from the provider?
So what they do is they pump it out and remove it. What he said is that once you disturb the tank and start pumping it out, the oil, the contaminants from the bottom of it all mix in and make the oil not worth anything.
We don't think there's that much in there, correct? Because we shut off a delivery
Yeah, we stopped delivery
at the end.
4 weeks before the end of the season to get it as low as possible. So, our thought is that there's very little oil left.
Okay.
And by the time you take the 6 or 8 inches of sludge on the bottom and mix it in with that, there's going to be no value to that oil.
Okay. All right. Any questions, Miles or Paul?
No.
I guess not.
Do we want to go forward with it?
I mean, we can shelve it to fall, but we can also put it on and just get it done.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I think we should just bite the bullet.
While we still have money.
Right?
Exactly. All right. So is there a motion to go forward with this purchase order?
We
Miles
moved
moved
it. Yeah.
Well, we moved it for discussion, but, well, if I call the vote, then that will base it. Okay. So, okay, any other questions on this? No?
No questions.
Okay, all right, so I'll call the vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes, we'll go forward with it. Okay. Anything else?
I need to excuse myself for a moment.
Was that all the POs that I had in there, Kelly? I don't.
That's all I see, Mark. I have the originals.
That's all you see, Denise,
Roll on
correct?
That's all I see. What are you looking for? Mark?
I was just making sure that was. I was just making sure that was all of them.
Yeah, that's all I
Right.
see.
That's all I see in
Okay.
here. So,
Right. That takes care of all of our business. Was there anything from any of you towards the fire department? I myself would like to publicly thank on our incident on Saturday. Publicly thank. We actually had 11 agencies, 6 different fire departments, and then between state police, fish and game, marine patrol, everybody that worked together. It went as smooth as it could. Of course, it's never an outcome that you want, but it worked out as best as we could with all the agencies coordinated, because that's an awful lot of agencies on any incident, and there wasn't really any conflict, and it went as smooth as it could. So I just wanted to publicly thank all those folks.
Okay, Mark. Thanks.
and also to thank you guys for a long, hard job to do with an unfortunate outcome. And you guys were true professionals about that as well. And I thank you for that as well.
Thank you. Any other fire department needs?
Nope.
I don't think so. Miles,
Okay.
Paul, nothing?
Nope, good.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Hope it's quiet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night. Okay. Is George still with us?
Yes.
George? He's on,
You muted, George.
I'm here.
okay, there
Oh,
you
there he
go.
is.
Okay, George, you're up.
I got a couple POs. The excavator came in a lot less expensive than I originally thought it was going to be. It was $2,700 for the month, and we'd like to be able to use it to finish up the sidewalk project, which will be another couple weeks, whether we rent it for the rest of the month. We're into the new month already. they decided to hold off until tonight, find out what you people wanted to do. If we could rent it another month, they would pick it up. If we weren't gonna rent it, they'd pick it up tomorrow or the day after and charge us for a couple of days. Or if we could continue to rent it to finish the sidewalk project, that'd be appreciated.
Okay, so he's talking about purchase order 1792, which we had already approved. How can we stop this from happening with an over approval on a PO? I mean, that's a big difference in the price that you proposed.
That was my mistake on the price. I misunderstood him on, he said it'd be about, he thought we'd taken it for 2 months. And when we put 1 month down, it was, I asked for 5,000. And the PO was made for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought we were going to get it for 2 months like we did last year.
Okay.
And that's why he gave me that price. And it was a misunderstanding on my part.
Okay.
But it's actually going to be $5,400. We could bring the price up to extend it for the month.
So you're looking for a revision to purchase order 1792 to be 5,400 versus 5,000.
Correct. We have 6,000 in that rental line for equipment.
And that will give you the additional time you need for the sidewalk.
Yeah, we're moving right along on the sidewalks as now, so we should be able to get that done. We've used it for a few other projects while we had a chance, so it's been a helpful piece of equipment.
Okay. All right. So Miles or Paul, if you could make a motion to reconsider purchase order 1792.
Yep. So I'll make a motion that we amend purchase order 1792 to be for 5,400 from 5,000.
Okay. Paul?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
George, I just this might sound like a silly question, but you know the Bobcat you guys have at the transfer station?
Yes, sir.
Is there can you guys get any type of attachment for that you can get a bucket to do what you're doing? Or does it not come with that?
The machine is actually almost 6 feet wide, for one thing. And the backhoe on that would be actually smaller than what the excavator can do.
All right, I was just wondering.
Because our big backhoe, the reason why we don't use the big backhoe, it's especially doing ditching on the side of the road, you got to move every 3 feet. With the excavator, you just move it along.
Keep on
and
going
the skid
straight.
steer would be the same situation.
Okay. Just asking.
Okay. Miles, how are you? Are you all set?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so Caroline, on here, do I sign it again?
If you could just initial and date or sign and date by the revised total there so that we know that you approve of that amount and the date of approval for the revision.
Okay, all right. So I will call the vote for the revision of purchase order 1792 to be 5,400. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise? Yes, okay.
And I did get a PO for 3,500 for the Chadwick Bayross for the service on the backhoe. They gave me a price for a single edge cutting edge, so that price was a little different than the double edge cutting edge that we normally have on our bucket. It's a $352. It's more than what they had quoted me, so the price would be $3,852 instead of $3,500.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move that we amend purchase order 1822 to be for $3,852.41 from the original $3,500.
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion?
No, I'm good.
Hearing none. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise is a yes. I'm gonna initial it and put the date.
Thank you.
All right.
Next PO is for PO 1827 for the main hydraulic cylinder on a big dump truck has started leaking very badly and it needs to be repaired. and rebuilt. So that's gonna be, the worst case scenario would be about 2,000 if they had to replace the cylinder, but repairing it and taking it out and putting it back in the truck, he said it'd be around 1,500. So I wanted to make the PO up to $2,000, coming out of vehicle maintenance for 4312707 account.
Okay, I'll move purchase order 1827 to Northeast Hydraulics for up to $2,000 for repair of main hydraulic cylinder on truck number 2.
I will second that.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise? Yes. Okay. Anything else, George?
Nothing on money, anything for me.
So the sidewalks are going well?
Yep, we may not make it all the way to Main Street where we are putting a swale along part of Main Street by between Mechanic and Locust to keep the water from going into the sidewalk area. And we're gonna try to get that ditch cleaned up a little bit. So that may take a little bit more hot top. So we may not get all the way down to Main Street, but we'll get as far as we can get. He didn't think it'd be that much of a difference in price.
Well, where were you hoping to get from and to?
I was originally hoping to get all the way down to Front Street from Mechanic, resurfacing the right-hand side all the way down through, but we may not get all the way down. There's some places that don't actually need repair, so we could skip a few places and get what's the worst part done this year.
Yep. So no, that wouldn't, I don't know what Locust Street is like, but we wouldn't touch Locust this year.
Locust Street's actually ready for paving already.
Oh, okay.
That was all included. Locust Street was a separate price. It was the Main Street one that we could pick and choose certain areas if we had to.
Gotcha.
Okay, any other discussion?
No, I'm good.
All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, roll call vote. No, we're done. Don't- That's done, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I lost my agenda, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
I don't, what the heck I did with it.
It's okay. I'll put it back up.
All right, sorry. Okay, so, transfer station for cash handling.
Hello.
Hello, Ed.
Ed,
Hi. Back in March, sometime around probably the 15th or so, middle of March, when all this started, we had a discussion about not taking cash, and we, you folks have authorized us to not take cash, and we did the invoice way of doing it. So people were issued invoices that didn't have personal checks with them. We've done about 100 invoices. I don't have the count as to how many of those have been paid, but some of quite a few of them have been. So, in doing some more research, now that we're a couple of months into this, cash isn't as much of a problem or as much of a hazard as originally thought. It's paper. It's actually cloth, as you know. And cloth, the virus doesn't last a very long time on, maybe up to 4 hours. So you'd really have to go some to try to get something off of it. So I talked to Paul Eames, who is our primary person that accepts the money and whatnot at the transfer station. He feels confident that with the precautions we have in place, gloves and masks and the hand sanitizer and whatnot, we'd like to go back to accepting cash. Just a side note to it, Caroline and I have been talking about accepting credit cards. So I've done a little research on that from what I can, as far as I can go with it. And that is as far as, the little machine that you run the credit card through. And they average $100 to $150 for one of those. But we're still working on some more facts as to, Caroline's got to find out how much it would be through the bank to accept credit cards and whatnot. So, that's just a little side note. But, I'd like to go back to taking cash, do away with the invoices, so everything gets paid on, as things come in. People have been really good about bringing personal checks. That's been, I want to say, I guess around the $200 to $300 a week range. The invoices have been averaging maybe around $100, $150 a week. So, which we need to, I need to go through those, and rebuild the older ones and see if we can't recoup that money, because people do owe it. So, and they know they owe it. So with that, probably if you approve it, I'd like to start this Saturday, going back to cash. I have checked with other transfer stations around the state, and a number of them have started to go this route as well. So I think it was very good to take the precautions we took initially, but I think we can revert back now.
All right. Any comments, Paul or Miles, on this?
I think if they're, the staff there is comfortable with it, then I'm fine with it. I'm a little concerned that we just put out in the newsletter that we don't accept cash there, but who reads that anyway?
I'm okay.
All right. So I'll just do a roll call vote that that we're proposing to go back to handling cash. Record. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise? Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I did, talk to Paul Eames quite extensively about it, because I want to make sure he's comfortable, and he was. He thought, no, this is not an issue. He's more than happy to go back to that. So
okay,
that's basically all I have for tonight. As we work through the highway jobs that we're doing, we're still trying to get the roof on on the recycle side of things. That's dragged out a lot longer than I had hoped, but we have to try to, there's only so many of us, and we're trying to get as much done as we can. So I think all the materials there, we just gotta get back on it, but roads are of course primary. So we're doing okay. It's working. The PO you signed a couple of weeks ago to get the balers and whatnot serviced, that's all been done. No issues found. So that was good. Onward and upward. So
great.
A lot of good comments. So that's all I got.
well, thank you, Ed. I appreciate you hanging in there, meeting with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Okay, have a good night.
Bye.
Okay, so the next is the town administration, pandemic sick time for illness.
Okay, we talked about this a few times, and the last time we talked about it, the board directed me to write up some sample scenarios so that we can have some clarity in how to move forward, and also with the one case that has come to the board's attention. So I put those scenarios. I'm going to share them here on the screen now. The first scenario is the one case, one request. Whoops, I lost some formatting here. Number one there is, oh, I just inserted a thing there. There we go. So right there, number one is the one scenario, the one request that is before the board for an existing situation. And then numbers 2 through 5 are potential scenarios as the only potential scenarios that I see going forward. Now that testing is widely available, somebody will get tested and they will be, this is for positive test results only, and they're either work-related or they're not likely work-related. My suggestion to the board with these potential scenarios is that something that the employee is claiming is work-related, that you handle those on a case-by-case basis. You can interview the employee or the department head about why somebody might feel as though it's work-related when it may not be obvious. And likewise, for the quarantining, people are either sick for work-related reasons or not work-related reasons, or they're quarantining either for work-related reasons or not work-related reasons. And so, with the potential scenarios, feel free to have me edit the text to something that you feel more comfortable voting on. But this number one existing scenario is a write-up of the facts of the situation that has already come to the board's attention that happened. So I don't know which you would find, easier to do with this. To feel free to start with the potential scenarios if that's easier, and we can, handle, the existing employee requests after that, or you can start with the existing request and go from there.
Okay, so what's the opinion of the existing scenario at this point?
Well, according to the board's previous conversation, there seemed to be a consensus that where the employee is not claiming that it was work-related, that the employee should have to use sick time to cover the absence. Person was able to return to work as soon as they felt ready to do so. So it was not at any point the town requiring the person to continue to stay out, which would have been a potential. So the person is just asked, because there are lots of extenuating circumstances with the pandemic, lots of rules getting questioned and exceptions being made. The person just asks, by the way, would this be a use of sick time, or would it just be some other kind of paid leave? So I guess that's where the conversation ended the last time.
So I think, as before, my opinion is we allot a generous amount of sick time. You should use sick time when you're sick. There wasn't testing available, so we have no idea what this illness was. That's shifted at this point. There isn't a claim that it was contracted through work. So I think they should use their sick time. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right. Paul? Is he there? I don't see him.
I'm a mile, but because of the situation going, the question I would ask, is this person exposed to the public quite a bit, where there's a high probability that they could have caught it from the public doing their job? And since we've been quite lenient with our employees, all employees, whether they're first aiders or what, that's my opinion. I agree with what Miles saying, but I look at it slightly different. Is if you got someone in the public eye working and they're exposed to the public for the town and they get sick and Health Provider says they believe it's COVID-19. Don't go in and get everybody else sick. The person's doing the right thing. The person could have came back 2 days later and possibly infected everybody. So that's my opinion. We're saying to an employee, if this happens again, if COVID comes back in September, they may come in when they're sick because they don't want to use their sick time.
Okay. I guess the symptoms are very similar to the flu. And there was, I think when you've been exposed because of first responders and police department, we're making them quarantine and be out. I think this person should probably use their sick time. Going forward, we'll be more apt to have a better handle on this going forward. And I think that we don't have enough information not to have it be that they use their sick time at this point.
Okay, that's your opinion. So.
Yep. So we should vote on this then, just to make sure that it's on.
If you would, please, thank you.
Yeah. So we're voting on existing scenario number 1. I'll do a roll call vote that we will, this employee will be using the sick time for what was taken based on not enough information or confirmation that it was COVID. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
No.
And Denise is yes. So the person will be required to use their sick time on this one. Right.
Okay.
So the potential scenarios, are you looking for us to accept the 4 of them, Caroline? Because they're different?
Well, so 2 and 3, scenario 2 and 3 are the same but opposite. That they've tested positive, and it is likely work related, or they're claiming it's work related. Or 3, they've tested positive and they're not claiming that it was work related. So yes, it would be helpful to have a determination about all of these, and I'm happy to work with you to wordsmith it to something you might feel more comfortable with. But these are the only 4 scenarios I see that we may have to deal with in the future. Now that, you never really know what's going to happen, but at least at this point, testing is widely available. So we should get I would suggest that you're not taking any action if there's not a positive test result, because that should be that should be workable. So if there is a positive test result, what would be your determination if it is not work related? And then my suggestion for numbers 2 and 4, that if somebody is asking for something not to hit their sick leave, but they are not claiming that it's work related, rather, if they are claiming that it's work related, I think that should go to the board for, a case by case basis about why they believe that their exposure was work related. And, there may be a valid reason to believe so. Employees are still interacting with public in a very limited way and going to the post office and some things like that. I think it might be easier for the board for something that is not claimed to be work related.
So you have the scenarios listed here. What you don't have is the so example number 2, we wouldn't hit their sick time.
Well, you've written a recommendation for any of these. So, right, like these are all, for under which of the following circumstances would you, require that they use sick leave?
I get you. Okay. So this would only be for employees that have sick leave, obviously.
Right. There's that.
I don't know how we can prove or not prove that it was most likely work-related, except for first responders, because they're the ones that are in the face and.
Well, even then, you wouldn't really know, right? There's a
Well, yeah, you're never really going to be able to prove it. You can say it's likely. You can agree that it's probable, but there isn't ever going to be direct proof.
Unless they acknowledge the fact that they were positive.
Well, that's true, but who's to say that they didn't come in contact with somebody else who was also positive and they caught it from the other person rather than the person that they were exposed to at work? They could have gotten it at the grocery store, so exposed at work to somebody who's known to have had it. I don't think scientifically you're ever going to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that a particular incident is absolutely the cause of somebody's infection.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing is, if the board is comfortable in voting on any of these scenarios, then that's at least helpful going forward for people who may come up with those situations. And then, for those situations that are more difficult, that's why I'm suggesting maybe with numbers 2 and 4 that the board might want to handle those individually anyway, and it might just be easier to make a decision about numbers 3 and 5.
Comes down to.
We're getting some kind of background noise.
Feedback.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I guess my thing is, if they're not claiming exposure, then it's sick leave. If they're claiming exposure, and it's really likely that it happened, then it's not.
Right.
How else you can? I mean, this is. I don't know how else you can handle it. But if they're not claiming it was work related, then we should not be picking up the pay, and they should be using their sick time.
I agree. I don't disagree with that.
So what we're saying is that 3 and 5 require the use of their personal sick time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you're saying. That's what it means.
If there's a consensus on that, maybe we could have a board vote on that before we move on to whether or not there's consensus about 2 and 4.
So my only other question is on the other ones, if an employee was likely work-related, is there a means that after a period of time, short-term disability will kick in?
Well, even before that, I think I would want to weigh in with Primex about workers' compensation. And I think, that's something we haven't really talked about, which is really pertinent to the situation, that if somebody's claiming it's, if there's any kind of loss of work time, even whether you have sick time or you don't have sick leave, if there's any loss of work time for something that is work related, I think that is a potential workers' compensation exposure. And then Primex would investigate that for us.
Yeah, and maybe we should have 2 and 4 looked into a little bit more, because the time away from work could be 2 weeks, or it could be 10 weeks, depending on the person who's getting it.
Yep.
Well, right. Short-term disability is only for only full-time, only the 8 full-time employees who only the full-time employees get short-term disability benefits.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Okay.
But again, you know, I think because Primex could have a role in this, that it may be another reason why numbers, you know, cases that fall on number 2 or 4 could potentially, you know, it might be worth checking in with Primex about how to handle it, and B, what qualifies for a workman's compensation claim.
Okay, can we defer this until the next meeting so you can talk to Primex about 2 and 4?
I don't think they're going to have very much to say. I mean, I can certainly get some hypothetical information from them about what determined about, you know, COVID's new, and you know, I'm sure they're discussing workers' compensation related things about it, but I'm quite certain that they're not going to say anything for sure, because they would determine all of those things themselves on a case-by-case basis. So we can come back with some general information, but I don't think they would say they would absolutely cover it. Just like, you know, they wouldn't absolutely cover a back injury or any other injury, because they would want to investigate it and look into whether or not that, you know, you were performing a job function during work time that nobody else could, you know, fulfill, or, you know, just because you get up from your chair and your knee, you know, becomes disjointed and you are on work time, not make that a workers' compensation claim. Whereas if you're, you know, bending and lifting because that's your job duty, and when you're bending for work purposes, you hurt your knee, and that could be a workers' compensation situation. So I don't think you're getting really a clear answer from them either.
So, okay, so should we revise it to say that, yeah, that exposure was likely to be work-related and will be paid by the town until determination by our workman's comp provider indicates whether or not this is a valid or you know, payable. Sorry, I'm losing my brain here.
Well, I would say, you know, so these conversations are all about people who accrue sick time. So I would say, you know, absolutely people are going to get paid while we're trying to figure things out. So if you can't come to work, you're going to get paid because you have sick leave. And we can adjust that later so that it, you know, correct the books so that it can be considered regular pay instead of sick leave, or we can call it something else after the fact, but they're going to get paid either way.
Okay, so what you're saying is that they would either use their sick leave or still use their sick leave, and then if it's determined by Primex that this is a qualifying workman's compensation package, you would reimburse them their sick time, and it would be getting, well, you wouldn't.
Well, you're not going to get your money
back?
back, but what we had called 8 hours of sick leave is now going to go back on the books as 8 hours of leave you didn't spend, and it'll just be regular time, for example.
So how does the town get recouped?
Sick leave is a liability. It's a financial liability. So what that means is that, you know, as long as people have sick leave on the books, there's the potential that they're going to use it and not work at any time for any number of reasons. So if somebody has an incident, they're going to go out and they're going to get paid because they have that sick leave. And then workers' compensation is something that gets worked out on a case-by-case basis. And if there's a cause for the town to be reimbursed, then we would get reimbursed by Primex. But I think more than likely, it would be as soon as an incident happens and it's brought to Primex's attention, we talk about how we're handling it on day one. So I don't think we're getting into day 8 of sick leave, still wondering whether it's going to continue as sick leave or not. Likely, we will stop the person and Primex will start paying the person, typically after 3 days of sick leave, I believe, if it's an event that qualifies.
Mm-hmm. But if you're saying we're going to give them back their sick leave, then we're giving them the sick leave back, so the town is still out by that amount. Yes?
Well, that's the board's decision, yes. So if somebody's sick and they're not coming to work, they're going to get paid. It's just a question of whether or not you want that to hit their sick leave or not. If they're not using their sick leave, then the town is just paying them and you're not recouping that cost, but that's your decision.
So the town in all of this is never going to get recouped.
No, but it wouldn't anyway. Just, no. The benefit of paying somebody when they're using their sick leave is at least that liability of that accrued sick time diminishes. So instead of having, 40 hours of sick leave on the book, they used a day and now you only owe them 32 hours of potential sick time someday.
I misunderstood you. I thought you said we were going to give it back to them.
Well, so that's what this whole conversation is about. Under what circumstance would you not require somebody to use their sick leave, at which point the town is just paying them to not be at work because the board has decided that it's COVID related and therefore shouldn't warrant hitting their sick time, but it's a board decision every time.
All right. Gentlemen, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think we're spinning our wheels here a little bit.
Yeah,
I do.
So
Yeah.
either table this or let's vote. I'm fine with taking 2 and 4 on a case-by-case basis. 3 and 5, they use their sick leave.
Okay. Paul, Paul?
Yeah, going forward with that makes sense.
Okay, so we want to do as Miles said, we're going to vote that 2 and 4 is on a case-to-case basis and 3 and 5 is sick leave.
Yep.
All right. I'll do a roll call vote on that. And you're going to fix that. Okay. So Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise? Yes. Okay. That's passed.
Okay, thank you for that exhaustive conversation. I really appreciate all your time on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next letter to DES, nitrogen.
Okay, this was in your email. There was a draft letter, and then I followed up with the final version of the letter. This was a letter drafted by the attorney for the city of Dover, representing as many of the 13 nitrogen communities as we can get to agree to sign the letter as a unified front with the Department of Environmental Services, urging them to rescind their letter that they sent to EPA about their position with the nitrogen permit. So this is the next step in trying to work with the state to rescind what looks like will ultimately be our new nitrogen permit, which is based on peer-reviewed science. It's unworkable and it's going to be extraordinarily expensive to the communities and the taxpayers. So I am looking for the board's consent to participate in the sending of this letter and to delegate my signature on this letter, since that seems like the easier thing to do where you all work and I'm a bit more accessible.
And you're the key player in this anyway, being part of the group.
Well, it's an acceptable protocol. There are other town administrators signing it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Does anybody have a concern about the letter or that Caroline signs it?
Nope.
None at all. Yep.
Okay. So,
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask for a vote on that.
okay, no problem. So it's letter B, letter to the New Hampshire, yes, on the
Yeah.
nitrogen, we're authorizing Caroline to sign the letter and accepting the letter that whoever, the city of Dover has written,
Yeah.
on behalf of everyone who's part of this nitrogen. So roll call vote, Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes, we're good. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
The tax warrant, the next item on the agenda, if you're ready for that, is a procedural administrative item. Tax bills, you all know, went out and have been received, but the tax warrant is the document that authorizes the tax collector to collect that amount of money in taxes by the various amounts from all the different properties. So that needs board signatures. I believe that was in your email so that you can sign them individually. And if you have the ability to scan it back to the tax collector, then that's workable. I think it warrants a vote just because you are the assessors by law, that it's just worth acknowledging in the public meeting and have you move to accept and approve the tax warrant.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we approve and accept the tax warrant.
And I will second that.
all right, and roll call vote, Paul,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Denise, yes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that, and we will send our signed copies back to Andrea at Town Hall, or to her email, right?
Can you print a copy for me, Caroline? I've got to come in and sign checks anyway.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't have a working printer. Let me put it that way. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. Okay, where our next one is Town Hall operations in-person meetings.
Okay, so I believe that we haven't revisited this conversation in a long time. We're all aware that area businesses are opening up under modified conditions, which is really a concession the governors are making to try to keep the economy moving. We all know that the infection rate is worse now than it was when we first shut down the town office. We are functioning. Some items are more labor intensive than they once were, but we are continuing to hold, I believe all of our committee meetings at this point have been held virtually. So I just wanted to revisit this conversation with the board and see where you're at, how we are operating. We've had some inquiries from the public about what the plan is. Frankly, I'm not advocating for a plan because I think it's too early to know that it's safe to open up. We don't have a protocol to keep people away and with a traffic flow in the evenings when it's busy. So that is one of my concerns. I've looked into modifying the doors for some of the internal offices so that when we do open up we can do that in a way that public in the hallway out of our workspace for safety. The quote I got back was for plexiglass, and I need to reach out to the vendor again and see if it's possible to do it with actual glass. I think that they probably quoted plexiglass because it's less expensive, but it's it further reduces the fire protection that the doors offer. The fire chief was not concerned about the small modifications to the glass door, but plexiglass, I haven't touched base with him, and that may be different. So it would be an increased cost, but it would be more scratch resistant, and it would look nicer and protect the town better in the event that there's a fire. So that's where I am with trying to prepare for the one day that I would expect that we would open up again. But I just wanted you all to know where we're at and revisit with you about what your thoughts are.
So I'll give my thoughts. So things are starting to open up, like starting to get back to normal. So you said you didn't have any plan going forward because you thought it was too early. My opinion is have a plan, because I think the town hall, I think most things will be opening within a month. So you should have a plan on how you're going forward, opening the town hall to the public. I know people are asking face to face, so.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree that we shouldn't have a plan. It's just that I'm not necessarily ready at this point to suggest what that plan is. You know, the reason that businesses are opening up is because they have to, so that people have jobs and business owners can recoup the cost and, continue to pay themselves and their employees. Whereas, we don't have that same kind of criteria level of need to open, because we are able to offer all the same services that we normally would. So by all means, if it's the will of the board to, open sooner rather than later, that's fine. But I would like to implement some door modifications before we do, at the least.
Okay, so
Go ahead, sorry.
go ahead, Paul, go ahead.
No, I'm totally good with, modified plans, plexiglass or what have you to make it safer. That's I like that idea.
Okay. Miles, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know, what we're talking about for cost. And, I do agree with Paul that we should have a plan that, figure out a pattern for foot traffic, limitations on the number of people in the building. As far as the select board meeting in person, I'm nowhere near comfortable doing that. I will not wear a mask for 3 hours. I'm not putting myself in that sort of risk. So not in the next month, no way. That's where I'm at personally.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to have a plan, and then that's going to take a little bit of time to work out. But I think that my only concern is, and I've heard a lot of about Kate being overwhelmed, and how can we help that? You got to be in the building to do the motor vehicle, correct?
Well, she's able to provide that now. It is, in some cases, it's more work, because if somebody has not yet registered a vehicle in the town, then registering it for the first time when you don't know how much money it's going to be, just put checks in the drop box when you don't know how much they're going to be. So she needs to put the transaction into the system to determine the cost, notify the person, and then have them put that money in the drop box, and then, meanwhile, back the transaction out of the system, because really you have to complete the transaction in order to determine the cost. So she's doing it twice, once to determine the cost, and again, once she receives the funds. So opening could potentially help her. I'm very, I'm concerned about how we don't really have the staff to observe people and make sure that people are adhering to a traffic flow and, waiting in line at 6 feet apart, or monitoring how many people are in the building to make sure that, we're not letting in an additional person that would violate that, or something like that. That doesn't mean we can't open, but, I'm not really sure how we're going to navigate that safely, frankly. So, I think it just warrants more discussion and more thought.
So
I think it's worth having like a one-way flow where people come in the front door and then they have to leave by the back door, so that you're not having people cross in the hallway, and that would help. But that's not really helpful if you have a handicap situation. The other thing is that might be the easiest interim solution is offering in-person visits for those cases that are more work for Kate. We could offer to the public that those situations are by appointment.
Yeah, I like that idea.
yeah, that's a good idea too. But my thought is there any way that we can have Andrea go in when Kate isn't there to help with the motor vehicle stuff that she couldn't get done on that day? Or have a scheduled time for one being in there and the other one not?
The short answer is not easily, and particularly not now, because tax season. So Andrea is going to be very consumed by the tax season, probably until at least first, if not second week in July. After that, I think we could talk about that, but I'm not sure how workable it is between now and then.
But what did they do when she was in the office? How did that get worked out?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I know that she used to help when it got overwhelming and when she was in the office, right?
Well, my understanding in more recent conversations with the both of them is that really Kate has managed her function by herself for the most part. And Andrea would fill in those functions when Kate wasn't in.
Okay, all right. I'm just hearing some rumbling.
Well, I think I would like to offer some compassion and a need to try to help Kate in some way right now, because most of the call volume is directed at questions for her, most of which are motor vehicle related. But while Andrea is trained to handle motor vehicles, at least in the short run, she's very consumed with taxes. So for as long as we continue to operate this way, and we can open up tomorrow, but there's like the fire chief said, we don't really know what the long-term situation is, and there's kind of a consensus in the scientific community that we're going to be in a worse position with the virus this fall and winter. That's going to be the case if we open up in the short run and end up, shutting down again. I would suggest that we need to offer some kind of consistent, regular help for Kate by somebody who really understands the rules around motor vehicles, because other people answer the phone and answer the questions they can, but most people need to speak with the clerk.
And what is your proposal then? To hire somebody else?
Well, I believe believe that Kate is going to address her needs and concerns with the board likely at your next meeting. So I guess wait for the board to hear her proposal, but offhand, I think it's worth exploring or talking about the additional burden and what can be done about it. And I don't want to suggest a solution without hearing from her about or her presenting to the board herself about what the impact is and what she thinks the best solution would be. But it is, I think it's potentially reasonable that operating in this manner is more burdensome to her. Absolutely.
Because she has to do things twice.
Well, not in every case, to be clear.
Yeah, okay.
It's not really clear to me how often it is that people have people are not using a mail-in renewal notice, but they're establishing residency and either registering a brand new car or registering a car that's never been registered in Rollinsford before. So both of those scenarios would require putting it in the system and then backing it out, putting it in the system again. I don't know what the volume is relative to a regular motor vehicle renewal transaction.
Okay. Because the pressure shouldn't be as much because there's nobody standing looking over you waiting for you to help them. I mean, that part of it that pressure shouldn't be there. I mean, I know that she probably feels that whatever's in the Dropbox has to be done in the same day.
Well, and yes, I think part of that is that she has a really high bar for customer service in that way. And I think part of it is also the public's demand for that level of service. So you're quite right that the response could just be there's a 3-day delay in vehicle registrations, for example. And that's a board decision. It's certainly an answer.
So and I agree with that too, but that would be something that we should be sending out a news blast for. Expectation is that, it could be up to 3 days of getting your registration. So send them in early instead of waiting for the last day of the month,
Yeah, I think we could potentially put more information out. We did work on putting a new notice on the door and out in the email today, directing people to try not to leave voicemail, but please website for instructions for how to do what you're trying to do and email questions, because part of it is that people leave really verbose voicemails that go on for some time, and spends her whole time listening to the message and then calling the person, that a substantial amount of time that cuts into her functional time.
Yeah.
So,
well, okay. So
what are we trying to solve here tonight? Coming
Yeah.
up on the clock.
So I was just going to say that as well. I think
Sorry.
that we're not really ready to open up yet. So we just need to try to work out as much as we can to help the people who are claiming to be really overwhelmed with work because of it. And so just keep your eyes open and let us know what more we can do. But I think we're not there yet to open up fully.
And I'll have more information at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay.
Paul, do you have any other comments?
No, that sounds good.
Okay,
As long
Miles.
as we're thinking about opening up and we got a plan.
Exactly. A plan is what we need for sure. Okay, very good. Moving on. Technology, select board members.
There's a purchase order in the board's folder for, and I'll share my screen in just a moment. It's an incomplete purchase order pending the outcome of this conversation. So I am requesting a printer for my home to be payable with CARES Act funds, because that would improve my functionality working from home. In addition to that, I am suggesting, let's find that purchase order. I am suggesting I've been talking to Denise, and I'm suggesting that the board could have better functionality potentially if you could sign purchase orders electronically, sign contracts and other things electronically, but that could help the flow of meetings. But in addition to that, your role could really be a working role in helping to revise and develop policy, for example. I know that Denise has a desire to have functional workspace at the town office and would appreciate a device to do those things on. And there is there's a bit of a right to know risk with using one's personal device for government functionality. If you are working on town documents or have town information on your personal device and a family member, because it's a family computer, uses your device, then, that certainly wouldn't be good. So again, I'll try to find the purchase order. Yes, here we go.
What do other small towns do? Do they provide devices to board members?
Well, certainly some do. I wouldn't suggest that all do. So, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to this. I think it's about, for the three of you, how do you see your role, not just in how you want to fulfill it, because you all have different opportunities and desires to work on a purpose of accomplishing town business, but what opportunity do you want to provide board members such as yourselves going forward? The reason I'm bringing this up now and on the same purchase order is because, I find that a printer for me would offer substantial additional functionality for me during the pandemic, which is reimbursable. Likewise, because we are meeting remotely, I think it is very reasonable to request a new laptop for the land use administrator. That's the second one I have on this purchase order, because he is using a really old laptop that does not do online meetings really well. So I believe that that's also carrier fund reimbursable. And that leads into the last item on the purchase order, which is that I think you all as board members could function better. At the very least, the chairperson and Denise and her desire to contribute in the way that she can could benefit from a device, in your official capacity.
And it all can be under the CARES Act right now. So the time is now by being able to have the funds to pay for it. So what is the desire, you and Miles and Paul, about having your town issued laptop?
Yeah, I have to say I wouldn't mind that. I am using my work computer for these calls for the most part, because my regular laptop is not performant. Is $1,200 the going rate for a laptop?
That's a really interesting question. What's going on with technology right now is that what is available is diminishing and changing, and you are getting more antiquated technology. And I don't want to say that as though you're getting dinosaur age technology, but cutting edge technology is out of stock. Like, the most recent version of a company's technology is out of stock. But at the same time, the previous version of those same devices is now more expensive than it once was.
Gotcha.
So I'm hoping we can get something for well under $1,200, but per device, but I put that there to offer us the flexibility to get the best thing we can in a a very dynamic market right now.
How about you, Paul? What is your desire personally?
Well, we believe it falls under the CARES Act, so that's good. Since it falls under the CARES Act, are there any other laptops we need to buy for other people that may be reimbursed by the CARES Act? Or do you think 2 is sufficient?
That's a really good question, and I would absolutely entertain the idea of at least 3 additional laptops. One for the treasurer, one for your minute taker present tonight, and one for our land use secretary.
Because I'm looking at the Dell website just out of curiosity. I see laptops for $550, $680. Whether or not those are available when you go to actually buy them. Whether, I don't know. I just, I don't disagree with you that you should plan for sort of the worst case scenario.
But that's probably without software, right?
Well, these prices are without software. Yes.
The 1,200 is without software?
I hope, but it may be.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not good times right now. So, Miles, in response to your observation, you're quite right that often when you go to select something, it's out of stock.
Yeah.
But I've had several conversations with Tom about, why is it so expensive and aren't there other options? And he maintains that the vendors that he uses are vendors that are hooked into the warehouses, like all the technological warehouses across the country, so that regardless of what product you're looking for, this vendor has access to that inventory. But that the level of what he would recommend that we use for security purposes may not be something that is the lowest priced item out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paul, did you indicate whether you were interested in having one as well?
I think I would be, yes.
Okay. So, and I am, because I'm the one that initiated this. If we modify this purchase order to have 3 laptops for the select board, and then you said 3 additional ones?
If the board is willing to use the CARES Act funds in that way, and I suggest that you do, because I think that's a very worthwhile and justifiable use of the funds, then yes, I would think that at least 3 easily, at least 3.
Okay, all right. So, are you guys, so I would put 3 for laptops for select board and then 3 for administrative.
Yeah, additional
like that.
staff use, yeah.
Yeah. And so what does that give a total of?
So they're 1,200 each. So 3 for the select board would be 3,600.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 for various other staff, plus the 1,200 for the one for the land use administrator, plus the 400. 13, 14, 18. I get 8,800 for a total.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
8,800?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is everybody, are your questions answered? Can we proceed with a recommendation on this?
The only thing I would ask is, like, Miles brought up, he found one online for 650. This is 1,200. And what Caroline is saying is supply and demand right now.
Yeah.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, if this is the best we can get, then there's not a choice, but it just does seem quite expensive for laptops. That's all I got.
Yeah. And I echo that, Paul, and I just feel like we need to make this money go as far as we can, and if we can shop around, I don't know, I know we generally buy equipment through Tom, but
Well, and like I said, the vendors he uses, they're government supplied. They supply government, and they are hooked into all the warehouse distribution systems. So what they show is available. Whereas if you go to a Dell website, that's the product currently on the market that they don't have stock in. But I respect and appreciate your comments, though, both of you, about let's try not to spend $1,200 per device. And I absolutely echo that. The goal is not to get the most expensive device, but the one most appropriate for the use that is also as affordable as possible. And I do hope that we can purchase a device and get software for that price. We will certainly try to do the best we can price-wise.
Yeah, just have that conversation with Tom to make sure that he can do some shopping around and better the price if possible.
Okay, we'll do.
The two of you okay to proceed with an approval of this purchase order?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did we even bring it up?
We haven't moved
I don't
it.
think it's been moved.
Yeah, I was gonna say we need to.
I'll move purchase order 1855 to Tom LaBelle for up to $8,800 for 7 laptops and 1 printer.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and Denise. Yes. Okay, I'm signing the purchase order. Okay. What's next? Was town hall, was that technology? This is this.
Yes, we covered that. So we're on to the part-time rec director.
Okay, so I resent you the job description this afternoon. Did anybody see that?
I did not get a chance to read that, Denise.
Okay,
Yep, good.
so all I did was I think there was comments from the rec committee, as you're well aware. They didn't think we were paying enough per hour.
Yep.
So my suggestion is that you pay it by the stipend. The budgeted amount is $13,000. And so what I had was I changed the salary to be $13,000 paid biweekly, $500 biweekly. And that they would be required to submit their time card to the town administrator biweekly with a summary of the work performed. I know it's going to be hard to have them tell us everything that they've done or how many hours they work, because they're not in-house. I mean, you're relying on honesty anyway. So that would be my suggestion, to say and 13,000 is what was approved in this year's budget, replacing it from Team Camp. So that's where I got the 13,000.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about that?
So I had a chat with Caroline that sort of scared me about the dip in revenue that we are most certainly going to experience, either through the distribution of room and meals tax, which I can't imagine they're collecting very much, through dips and vehicle registrations, etc. I don't disagree that this is a valid position. I just don't know right now what a rec director would do for us. I think we ought to hold off. I think we can approve the job description. I think we ought to hold off on hiring someone.
I have to agree with Miles on that right now.
Okay.
Denise, where you don't seem to agree. I mean, your job description was good.
I mean, the job description, you know, getting it approved is fine. I'm okay with that, whatever you want to do. It's okay. Let's get the job description approved though, and just delay and posting it at this point until we know how much this is going to go. And, you know, this whole pandemic is happening for the rest of the year.
Right. I just think we need to be a little more cautious at this point.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
13 grand's a drop in the bucket, but every little bit.
Yep. So I'm okay with that, but if we could at least accept the job description. And what do you think about having it be a salary stipend versus having an hourly wage? Could work 5 hours on 1 week and then another. So having it be a stipend going across for the year and have it equally paid out or whatever. Does that sound like something that is acceptable to you guys?
It does.
Yep.
Okay, Caroline, how about you? How do you feel about that?
I think that that's going to help you with meeting coverage, particularly, you know, I think that that's absolutely fine. My only caution would be to, you know, we need to be setting goals for this person so that we know what's getting accomplished, you know, monthly or weekly or what have you, so that we can get a sense of how much time is really needed and how much time is getting put in. Because it's new, whatever you create, I guess my only advice is whatever you do is valid and fine, but it should be evaluated maybe in 6 months to see, you know, there were tons more meetings than we would have thought, so we didn't get actual work done, you know, in an office way from this person, or vice versa, or like, what are the problems and how is it going? And just be flexible, moves forward after that.
And that's why that position is reporting to you, because then you are going to have that control of having those conversations with this person and seeing how it's going and making sure that we're not just throwing money at them and they're not doing anything. So
yeah, I just want to watch that. Yeah,
because we have to have that person work for an employee of the town, not a committee. That's the key.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be someone who is employed with us. So, okay, so so the job description didn't change except to make it a salary position versus and having it submitting a summary when they do their time to the town administrator. So that's the only thing I changed.
Okay, then I'll move that we accept the job description for part-time rec director as presented.
And I will second that.
All right. So, and just to let you know, I heard nothing from anybody on the rec committee about the job description. So I went with what I had. So, okay, roll call vote. Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Denise? Yes. Okay. I'll make sure you get, I think I sent it electronically to Caroline, but we can.
Yeah. So I got it. Denise, thank you for working on it. You did a really great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Denise.
No problem. So, okay, so now we are at community input. Is anybody still with us? There's no.
Yes, and then we're about to go into non-public. We do have one person on a phone line ending in 81.
Does anybody have anything, the public?
Press 6 star to unmute yourself if you wish to speak.
Sounds like no.
It sounds like no. So how do we go on non-public now?
You're going to go back to that same meeting link that we used earlier. You can go back to that same place.
Okay, so sounds like can go as well, and we'll give her an update on what happens with the non-public?
Well, really not, because the meeting recording ends when, you know, I guess we can end the recording and just provide the public addendum that says, you know, the minutes will reflect what time you got out of non-public. No, I take that back. I really think we need to technically keep it open because the public has the right to watch you come out of non-public and vote to adjourn the meeting. So
Okay, but does Salme
because
have
there
to
isn't a
stay?
physical location, I'm really sorry to say that, but I think we have to, ask Salme to keep her computer on.
All right, sorry,
So I guess
Salme.
maybe we can dismiss Salme so she can go to bed and we'll tell her when it ended, but that she leave her computer on at least for now so that we can
Okay,
back in public to adjourn the meeting.
okay, Salme? Oh, she's muted.
Salme, Salme, your microphone's not, Salme, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. You just muted yourself. We can't hear you.
Huh, that's interesting.
We can't hear you at all. No. So you can type in the chat box if you want to type in the chat box, or you can call me if you want to say something to me.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, she's gonna call me.
Okay, so, we have a motion, to go into non-public, according to RSA 91:3 to the reputation of someone not on the board. Roll call.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Miles?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay, we're going into non-public, so we have to get out of here and then go into the other one.
All right.
Gotcha.
We still can't hear you, Salome. But yes, that was alarming, and thank you for letting us know. So you might have heard me say that we're going to find a way to hold non-publics on a different meeting night or before a meeting or in some way that is more secure, because that's a huge issue.
Well, so it seems like someone must have had both meetings open. I can't imagine any other way that would have happened.
I don't know. I don't know. But I think the risk of somebody not being really diligent with their technology and what that can mean for making non-public information public is,
oh yeah,
reported, by the way, is not worth the risk.
Okay. We don't have everybody.
No, we're waiting on Denise. But thank you again, Salme, for calling and telling us that. Here we go. She's good.
All right, I'm here, sorry.
It's okay. I know it's a pain in the butt.
Okay, so I didn't hear you at the earlier one. Yeah, that's weird. I don't. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened, but is it on? Okay. So, are we done?
Yes, I believe that you are done. There is nothing else on the agenda. So unless anybody has any new business they want to discuss, that is the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn then, correct?
So moved.
Okay. Roll call. Paul?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Denise? Yes. Okay, so we are adjourned. Thank you. Long meeting.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Good
All
job,
right.
everybody, and thank you. You all did
Have
a
a
great
good night.
job.
Good night,
You too.
Salme.
Good
night.
Night.